everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be a pan your eyeshadows update, making dents, love your eyeshadows, whatever you want to call it. I am just trying to get some use on the single shadows in my collection that I tend to neglect. So I randomize 4 shadows and have usage goals on them. So I'm going to talk about my progress with them, if I can roll any of them out. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I would love it if you stuck around. But with all that, let's go over my color story and my uses on each shade. All right, so like I mentioned in the intro, I'm not necessarily trying to hit pan in these eyeshadows. I am just a light-handed makeup wearer. It is what it is. I would be here all year trying to hit pan on one single shadow. So I instead opted for usage goals. I have 2 mattes that I roll in, which I have a usage goal of 30, and then 2 shimmers, which I have a usage goal of 20. Once I reach that goal, I can roll out the shadow and roll in a new one. And it's just a really nice way to kind of learn my single shadow collection a little bit more. I haven't realized how neglected this category of my collection has been, and it's been really nice to just get some use and see some progress on some of these shadows. So let's just start going over my color story here. The first one that I want to talk about is this one, and this is Sydney Grace Versailles. This shadow, I only had a few uses left to do on it. I believe I only had 6. Yes, I had 14 uses my last update. I do update this project every 2 months because of me being a light panner. But I had 14 uses and I did roll in a shade in its place because I knew that I would hit that goal pretty quickly. So I did reach my 7 uses for 21 uses total. And here is what the shade's looking like. You can see a dent, but you know, not to just really beat a dead horse here. I hear a lot of people with 20 uses on a shimmer and they already have pan, and I'm like struggling to show you a dent here. So it is what it is. This one has already been replaced, but it is officially rolling out. I just wanted to make sure you knew that. Now let's go over the ones that were actually in my project. Here is my little Z palette here with the shades. This was my color story. I am wearing these 3 on my lid today, along with some other shadows. I will list all the makeup that I'm wearing down in the description box. So let's go this way. So let's start with this first shade here, probably with the most impressive usage. This is Sydney Grace and the shade Beyond. I have a lot of Sydney Grace singles here. This is just kind of like a deep brown with like hints of red in it. It's definitely like a very neutral, but it does have like a little bit of like plumminess to it. It's not just like a straight brown. So here is what this shade looks like. And at the last update, I had 8 uses. I did use this 12 times in the past 2 months. So I'm at a total of 20 uses for this shade. I have 10 more to go, but I've really been using this as like a powder liner, kind of winging it out like I did today. Really happy with this shade. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like super unique of a shade, but I'm at least getting some use out of it. And then the next one we'll talk about is the other matte. This is Give Me Glow in Retro Beige. I find this shade to be a little bit confusing, maybe just because I'm judging it too much, but it's kind of like an army green, kind of like a khaki versus like a retro beige. There's a swatch of this. I usually wear this kind of in my outer corner to deepen it up, and I really lighten it up. It's weird because like now it looks kind of gray on camera. A little bit of a deceiving shade here, huh? I don't know, it's like a very interesting. I have grown to really appreciate this shade. I find I can use it on warm looks or cool looks. It really doesn't matter too much. It's very neutral. So if I just want to get uses on it, I can. Let's see. So I had 11 uses on this shade, and in the past 2 months, I've used it 10 additional times for 21 uses. So I have 9 more uses to go on these. I think that both of these will be rolled out by the next update, really. I've been getting into the groove of just like a go-to eye look where I use both of these. So I don't think that they're gonna be any issue whatsoever. And then we get to my shimmers, which are going to be an issue. They're not gonna be an issue, but they are gonna be in this project a little bit longer than I usually like to keep eyeshadows in here for. Let's start with this one. This is Sydney Grace Ladies Dancing. Now this looks stunning in the pan. It looks stunning in the swatch. I really like the look of this shadow. It has like, it's very interesting for Sydney Grace, I will say, because I do have a lot of Sydney Grace singles, and she doesn't have that many of these like duochrome flips. Like it really flips from magenta to blue, but it's a very warm tone purple. Like I said, very interesting shade. I don't have very many shades like this. It's pretty to look at, but on my eyes, I just don't find it the most flattering. Last update, I even talked about potentially decluttering this shade. So I'm just going back and forth. I am wearing it today, and I'm finding ways to kind of use it a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, if the lights are good enough, but the best way that I found to use this shade is with a natural haired brush. This is the, what is this? Sonia G Worker brush. And it just applies it a little bit more lightly because Sydney Grace shadows are very pigmented. They're a little bit thicker. It's hard to sheer them out. And with that natural hair brush, I am able to get more of a wash of color and then layer some shimmers on top of it. So that's been working out for me, but my usage goal is still pretty dismal. At my last update, I had one use on this shadow, which is why I was considering decluttering it. I have used it 6 more times, so a total of 7 uses on this shadow. What is that? 13 more to go for 20 uses since this is a shimmer. You can kind of see a dent, but I'll be honest, out of those 6 uses, only one of them was on my eye, which is today. The other 5 uses, I did finally try this as a nail polish, and it was very pretty as a nail polish. Just, this was my first time using a shadow as nail polish, and I just don't like the effect. And to be honest, I have so much polish in my collection, like these drawers back here. It's safe to say I probably have like 400 bottles of nail polish. I don't need to use shadow as nail polish. So I didn't love the effect. It just looked very thin. It didn't give me that like thick kind of juicy texture that I like from a polish. So I don't think I'll be using shadow as polish in the future, but today I really enjoyed my eye look. So I'm gonna continue working with this, seeing if I can just find something, find a way to really make this work for me. But to be honest, even if I can find a way to make it work for me, once I get my 20 uses, I still might declutter it because I shouldn't have to work that hard for a shade. And if I have to layer it, do all these steps, I just know myself, I won't reach for the shadow. Yes, I probably should just declutter it now if I already know that and I've already decided that. But I do want to stick to my rules and give it the 20 uses that it deserves. And then I'll probably pass it along, and maybe my thoughts will change by then and I'll find a way that I really, really love to use it. I just doubt it at this point. And then the last single right now in this project is another Give Me Glow, and it is the shade Not You Next. So this is kind of like a cranberry shade, still very warm toned, but a little bit different from like that Sydney Grace. And these Gimme Glow shadows do not play. You only need a tiny, tiny bit and they just slide. I just didn't want it to fall over my desk, so I had to do it on the floor. So here's what this looks like. Really pretty, just like kind of a rose gold, but like a rose with a hint of gold. I do really like this. I do layer this one, but it's one that's just easier to use than this one. As far as my uses go, I had 2 uses at the last update and I used it 2 more times. So a total of 4 uses. I have 16 left to go, slow and steady. It's just with the colors, it's going to take me a little bit more time to hit my usage goal. The browns, the greens, those are easy, but the color I'm just not wearing every single day. So I'm trying not to be too hard on myself. I was hoping that I would have at least one rollout, but I don't. So that's where we're at. Even though I don't have a rollout, I still am going to roll in a shadow. I talked about this in my last update, and I'll link this playlist up above if you want to catch up on some other videos or see the progress I've made on other shadows. I included all of my single component shadows in my Tiny Decisions app as either matte or shimmer, depending on what they were. Like my ColourPop Super Shocks, I just added that to my shimmer list. And my thought process when I first started this video, this series, was that if I hit one of those on my roulette wheel, if one of those came up, it would just be a bonus. However, it's been like 6 or how many updates am I on? I don't know. You'll know by the title once I figure it out, but I haven't rolled in one of those single component shadows since starting this project. And now that drawer of just my eyeshadow sticks of, you know, like I said, my Super Shocks or my Charlotte Tilbury's, those are getting completely not used, and it kind of defeats the purpose of this project. So I am gonna roll in. I updated my lists, my little roulette wheel, to now have my matte single shadows, my shimmer single shadows, and then just my actual single component shadows. I made a new wheel, and since I have no rollouts, I thought today would be the perfect day to actually roll one of those in. So that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna add to this color story. And instead of working on 4 colors at a time, I will permanently be rolling in or working on 5 shadows at a time. So let me get my iPad and we'll pick out a new shadow together. Okay, so I have my wheel up now. Did it turn? Yes, it did. Okay, so let's see which one I can finally get and finally start working on some of these shadows. Social BB ColourPop. I believe that's from the Lavish collection, and it's like a blue periwinkle. Let me get that one and then I'll swatch it out so we can see what my new color story will be going forward. I was right. It is the ColourPop Super Shock from the Lavish collection. So this is what it looks like. It's like a deep periwinkle, kind of close to my shirt a little bit, but let's swatch it out. More color, so that's great. It might actually be a blessing in disguise because maybe like now I can kind of pair this one with Ladies Dancing, and that might help me out a lot because they kind of have the same undertones, just a little bit. I don't know. I'll have to play around and see. But I'm just excited to start using some of my single shadows, not just my like magnetic ones that go in Z palettes, because I really wanted to use these and then I just wasn't pulling them in. But this is the new color story. Very excited. Kind of a short update. Next update hopefully will be a little bit better. I should be rolling out both of these mattes. And if I can really commit to myself, can I? How many uses do I have on this? 7. 13 uses in 2 months. I could do it. I mean, I could roll all of these out, really, if I put my mind to it. I just like to play around too much. This is like, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself to reach for these. I try to reach for them organically, but these two for sure, I'll definitely have rolled out. It would be really nice to have at least one of these shimmers rolled out. Hopefully Ladies Dancing, I can kind of just get my thoughts on. But that's going to complete this video. Let me know down below if you also neglect your single shadows. I feel like a lot of us do when we have palettes. It's just, at least for me, working quickly in the morning, I'm like getting my makeup done and it's just habit to pull a palette out rather than like pull out all my singles and see which ones I want to use. It's much easier for me to just like make a little palette like this, and I'm using them much more and I'm having a lot of fun with this project. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you're having a great one and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.